The Watchmen Program Proposal Plan, a new economic trillion-dollar industry, billions of new revenue produced daily for the nations. A new nationwide infrastructure of mobile biofuel, hydrogen, and natural gas stations will be a vast revenue generator, richly fueling our economy. Now, here's the Watchmen Program mission statement. WorldEmergency will set up emergency disaster command information centers in every major city throughout the United States. These portable centers will contain all of the local and federal authorities working together side by side to help deter and stop potential threats of terrorism. Emergency kits and medical supplies will be in storage for a percentage of citizens within the city. The police and fire department, search and rescue teams, FEMA, Homeland Security, the CDC, and other agencies will give help and understanding to citizens in every major city, providing information on what to do and how to do in a terrorist attack or threat, and also lending the essential peace of mind. The Watchmen Program will establish a new global green facilities industry, regulating and advancing zero grid technologies, utilizing renewable power sources, all academies built on the systematic foundation of 10,000 emergency information, economic, education, job centers is the solution. We now begin the Watchmen Program Proposal Plan. A solution. The Watchmen Program produces new revenues at record levels, erasing budget deficits for all cities in crisis throughout America. Every city within the Union can wipe clean its books by paying all debts with the new revenue spurned and not issuing IOUs. This new revenues building program will be used as a vehicle for the federal and local government to work hand in hand with private industry corporations throughout the country. Sponsored contract partnerships will repair and rebuild inadequate budget revenues throughout the nation. City by city, state by state, this new economic building boom will race across the country, providing millions of jobs and economic recovery. The basic synopsis of proposal plan. Private corporations will sponsor the Watchmen Program centers, providing the city, state, and federal government with new vital revenues needed. In return, the Emergency Economic Information Centers will be set up on the sponsor's SOAR business location. This will bring beneficial publicity and advertisement to all their establishments. A balance of federal and local government tax and bond initiatives may be given as well. C. Watchmen Program funding. The Watchmen Program is a system of emergency economic information centers. These facilities will house the federal and local authorities working together side by side to help combat terrorism. The Emergency Economic Information Centers will house the police department, fire department, search and rescue teams, as well as FEMA, the CDC, Centers of Disease Control, Homeland Security, and other agencies. The local and federal departments will provide the public with what to do and how to do, from unnatural disasters, potential pandemics, or terrorist attacks and threats. The cost for each center is $8,400,000 US. However, the corporation sponsors will pay up to $25,200,000 per quarter. D. economic agencies, private and governmental. Economic offices will have their own unit spaces within the information centers. Agency examples such as HUD, Housing and Urban Development, SBA, Small Business Administration, and the ARRA, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, and other organizations working with the local and federal government will provide economic help and information to citizens within the cities these centers are placed. The new industry, Zero Grid facilities, will be paid for from these sponsored centers. Citizens throughout these cities will receive genuine help. New revenues will be generated for the whole nation. The green Zero Grid information centers will be portably placed within the parking structures of department stores. Corporations such as Walmart, Home Depot, Costco, Lowe's, Home Improvement Centers, and other organizations will facilitate these emergency disaster economic centers. The privilege of sponsoring each of these facilities will cost up to $25,200,000 every quarter. Optional goods and service incentives allotted for these organizations that participate may be considered. This will be money well spent for those corporations sponsoring these centers. The emergency economic centers will be a magnet of activity where thousands of citizens will visit on a daily basis. Citizens throughout the cities will flock to store-sponsored sites to receive life-saving information from the federal and local authorities. This magnet of activity for these businesses will bring greater profits to their organization. E1, Economic Job Fairs Recruitment. Recruitment offices will be set aside within the information centers for job fair sponsorship operations. Employment offers, whether locally or nationally, will be provided. All corporations that utilize these facilities to promote their business, goods, or services will pay a basic fee. This service provided for the general public will be an additional source of revenue for the Watchmen Program. New revenues will be shared with the city, state, and federal government. E2, Job Center Program, a Labor Department initiative. Our proposal is a nationwide jobs training system. Thousands of new career training centers will be set up in cities across the country. The 7 listed here are among the many job occupations available for training. These job skills are vital to rebuild, protect, provide for, and make our nation stronger and healthier from the inside out. Number 1, the renewable energies industry. Building new green energy systems into homes, schools, offices, medical facilities, and portable farms nationwide. Number 2, basic medical emergency and security field education, teaching first, second, and even third responders what to do and how to act in an unnatural disaster, terrorist attack, or threat. Number 3, computer systems operator and technicians, teaching marketable business level skills needed today nationwide, establishing and maintaining software programs for the new portable facilities industry. Number 4, physical health trainer and nutritionist specialists. Those within the medical professions will educate alongside certified trainers from health clubs who will instruct how to maintain a healthy body and a healthy diet. Number 5, ESL classes for teachers and students. ESL trainers and teachers of the English language are now needed worldwide. And yes, there's an increasing need for English teaching within America, internationally, within Europe, the Middle East, and especially in all of Asia. Native English-speaking people from America are prime sought-after teacher candidates. ESL certificate holders can easily earn $50 to $150 hourly. Note, to the 10% and up unemployed in our nation and the international community needs us. Number 6, Commerce Department expert training class centers teaching citizens across the nation how to sell their goods and services overseas will boost export sales by a conservative estimate of $1 billion per month. These export training centers will achieve the department's mandate to advance economic growth and jobs, new entrepreneurships, and new career opportunities for the American people. Number 7, the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, Marketing and Trade Offices. This program class will give information on agricultural services and detailed trade practices to established and up-and-coming farmers so they can export their produce, goods, and or services domestically and overseas. Training classes will be developed under the USDA office, yet operated by the private sector to teach American farmers about innovative farming technology, such as building portable farms. Environmental-friendly portable farm units combine harvesting fish along with a variety of vegetables powered by green energy systems. Under the regulation of the USDA, a variety of private corporations will teach, train, and instruct how to build, utilize, and maintain these portable food production systems. Expert guidance and direction from the Commerce Department and the USDA will give insightful trade regulations and market development programs. The facilities which will house these training centers, with all personnel maintaining operations throughout, will be located on the corporation's property which sponsors them. All construction center costs and professional workforce salaries for teacher trainers will be paid by corporation host sponsors. F. New Building Industry Office. Green constructed Zero Grid facilities will provide a host of new economic incentives for all property owners. Developers and corporations will also benefit greatly in building Zero Grid facilities. All Zero Grid new property projects will be processed directly through these offices within the centers. This new local government industry will operate the green building offices that provide information and guidance along with all requirements for these facilities. Moreover, for all existing facilities, homes, schools, stores, and offices that desire to wean themselves off the grid will also gain guidance and direction through this new government agency. All permits and fees will be paid through green building offices, another source of new revenue for the city, state, and federal government. New power sources such as the ESP Energy Solar Power Modular System will be a source of gridless energy. This portable system, designed by WorldEmergency, along with a plethora of other corporations, will provide services to wean other facilities off the grid. All companies which qualify will work as contractors under the guidance and direction of HUD, Housing and Urban Development. Required licenses, fees, and permits must be paid directly through these offices. G. Zero Grid Project Works Office. An estimated 1 million new green facilities, homes, schools, offices, and medical units, and portable farms will be produced and sponsored by these economic information centers. The emergency centers are themselves designed as portable zero-grid facilities. Each center operates on its own portable power by the ESP monolith system. All facility units are made of solid steel with bulletproof installation. The units can also withstand an approximate 9.0 earthquake, or about 1 million pounds of pressure, without any major structural damage. All new facilities built into homes, schools, offices, and emergency medical units will be able to utilize this new green gridless portable technology. New permits will be provided and sold by each city and state. All new gridless projects will be regulated through this office. The Project Works Office will be an additional source of new revenue for the city, state, and federal government. Again, thousands of new homes, schools, offices, and medical centers will receive their guidance and direction, work permits, and work inspections through this new institution. Note, our conservative goal is to set up over 10,000 centers nationwide. Now, if only 10% of that number would be placed in cities across the country, with each center establishing 10,000 single zero-grid units annually, that number alone equals 1 million new green zero-grid facilities. Moreover, all licenses, permits, and project fees will be billions of dollars in new revenue for the local and federal government. The green zero-grid technology inspectors will be contracted out to the private sector. This new green private industry will inspect all new structures awarded them through the GSA or federal bids programs. Before the zero-grid private industry inspectors are placed on any local government contractor's bid list, the private sector inspector company or individual must take the zero-grid inspection training exams. This training and exam test will be conducted by local government agency instructors. The cost for this service will be paid by the contracting firm from the private sector. Significant new revenues from this new Zero Grid Projects Works Office will be substantial and will overwhelmingly cover the costs for this new agency. The Emergency Economic Information Center will have a helicopter pad which will be placed on top of the 12 to 24 office unit. The other local and federal authorities occupying these offices can be available 24 hours a day. Local and federal authorities working from other locations can vacate old offices, and millions of dollars will be saved. Moving from old, energy-draining source facilities will mean significant savings to the city and state. Remember, these new Emergency Economic Information Centers will be completely sponsored by host corporations within the private sector. No or low rent and drastically lower utility bills can be at least cut in half. Perhaps up to 90% of the current operation costs will be saved. Just think of it. A conserving government actually practicing what it preaches. Please note, government property savings example. The administration within the state of California has discussed the viability of selling government buildings and leasing them back from the buyers. WorldEmergency believes the sale of some government facilities should be profitable to the state. However, with new green centers being constructed, leasing back space from the buyers in many cases won't be necessary. Profit generated by property sales should be utilized for a more sustainable facility. Once the Watchmen Program sponsorships are set up, the building costs for the city, state, and federal government will be zero. Not a single tax dollar needs to be raised or any vital services cut. Also, the training of first, second, and third responders will be provided by volunteer doctors, nurses, and local hospital agency staff. H1, information centers producing high revenues. From the information centers, a host of emergency disaster products and services will be sold directly to the corporations and general public throughout the cities and states. These emergency disaster kits will be designed specifically by the police department, fire department, and search and rescue teams for all types of disaster situations. The emergency kits and emergency training will help citizens be prepared and ready for earthquakes, fires, floods, and civil unrest. With all the new revenues generated, along with the corporation sponsorships, at least $100 million can be achieved for each emergency economic information center set up. From 10 centers placed in big cities such as Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York, the potential revenues is $1 billion every year. Theoretically, the state of California could have wiped out the past budget crisis of $42 billion by simply building 420 centers from the estimated 480 cities throughout the state. 420 times 100 million is $42 billion every year. Now, agreed, all centers may not generate the target amount. However, please note, these new revenues are generated by building and not cutting vital services or raising new taxes. If a mere 10% were achieved, the yearly revenue would be unprecedented. Setting up the Watchmen Program throughout the entire nation would be a tsunami of wealth flooding throughout the nation. H2, DWP Green Project. Selling DWP water and power stations will maximize revenue building within every city across the country. The DWP, Department of Water and Power, will develop its own emergency kit, selling it directly to the public. This kit will be a small portable facility titled the DWP Water and Power Emergency Center. These portable power kits can run a home or an office 24 hours a day without being hooked up to any outside local power. The basic energy systems will be a solid steel 10 by 10 container unit designed, manufactured, and sold as the official DWP Emergency Water and Power Kit. Bigger units with greater power capacity will be available for larger facilities utilizing more energy. Current costs to build these basic units are $16,800 US. A suggested wholesale price sold to the general public is $21,000 US. That's a $4,200 profit for each unit. This green DWP project will also generate revenues into the hundreds of millions throughout every major city all over America. The DWP Zero Grid optional water power facilities will utilize the ESP energy solar power system. Backup fuel cells will store additional power, and a biofuel generator will provide an extra source of energy as needed. As the official DWP Power Center, these energy systems will be sold to government agencies, the private business sector, and internationally as well. No further tax or power rate hikes will ever be needed again. Homes, schools, offices, and medical facilities will buy and utilize these renewable, optional water and power units, generating an endless source of new revenue unprecedented since the DWP began. H3, portable water facilities. The portable water and power centers are designed with an optional dual water tank system for fresh and gray water storage. Because of severe droughts developing in many cities across the country, a water desalinization program should be implemented. Please understand, the Economic Emergency Information Centers housing the local and federal government agencies working side by side are all utilizing portable facilities. The portable water and power systems are designed within these emergency information centers. The water within the center should be supplied directly from the ocean with desalinized water. This water desalinization program will not only conserve our nation's dwindling fresh water supply, but will also build up a new profitable industry, producing millions of jobs throughout the country. The new industry water desalinization comprehensive program. A conservative estimate of 10,000 portable information centers will be supplied with desalinization water on a regular basis. Moreover, new green zero grid facilities, homes, schools, offices, and medical units utilized by government agencies and the private sector nationwide will also be served by this new industry. New biofuel desalinization generators will be built along with energy-conserving truck vehicles. This new transportation industry will deliver this precious resource from the sea direct to these water and power units across the country. All new green producing enterprises will build an endless source of new jobs and revenue within America and globally as well. The Watchmen Program, coast to coast, over $1 trillion in new revenue. The Watchmen Program will be set up in every city across the country. For example, one center within 2,520 cities nationwide times $100 million potential dollars for each sponsored facility equals $252 billion on an annual basis. However, many cities across the nation will require more information centers to fulfill the needs of the citizens in those large populated areas. Perhaps a dozen or more centers in Los Angeles County alone. On the other side, some small cities across the nation will only require one. However, if we take a conservative estimate of 4 centers times 2,520 cities, the average need of emergency information economic centers throughout America will be 10,080 units. Now, 10,080 Zero Grid centers times 100 million equals $1,008 billion in potential new revenue. This revenue will be shared equally throughout the country, 30% for the city, 30% for the state, and 30% for the federal government. The remaining 10% can be funneled back into the Watchmen Program to maintain the emergency economic information centers and to upgrade the technology as knowledge increases. $1,008 billion on an annual basis will go a long way in placing our country back on a firm foundation of economic recovery. J. The Watchmen Program used as a conduit for new and innovative ideas nationwide. The growing threat that America has outside our peaceful nation, and now even more alarming within America, is a reality our country must face. The Watchmen Program will be a universal vehicle to place all the good, sensible ideas coming out of Washington along with the private sector, putting them to work for the good of the nation. We can all recall that as our current president campaigned, he stated, Washington, D.C. is a place where good ideas go to die. The awesome, beneficial ideas generated by all parties within Washington needs to spread across the nation. The federal government personnel in Washington also needs to spread out across the nation instead of hiding behind new internet technology. Moreover, they should have up-close and personal interaction with citizens they're serving. This is an excellent way government officials can familiarize themselves with what's really going on throughout the big and small cities across the nation. Only then can the government really understand what is needed. The economic information centers will be universally used as a springboard, a nation-building conduit for innovative programs. All good programs proposed federally by the administration, Congress, and locally by state governors and city mayors can be inculcated across the country. Common sense solutions to strengthen America economically, physically, that is security, from the blueprint planning stage to the action stage will flow almost seamlessly across the United States. Note to all government officials, especially governors and mayors across the country, as the President made an executive order regarding his blueprint for a secure energy future, every state and city should follow suit. The mandating of government buildings and vehicles to operate with better efficiency, utilizing more renewable power sources, is a major step in the right direction. The Watchmen Program will help incentivize the private sector to wean its facilities from the grid to zero grid. K. Nationwide jobless rate potentially cut in half. The Watchmen Program will not only give the nation the dearly needed revenue sought after, millions of jobs will be generated as the program spreads across the nation. For example, the state of California jobless rate is bordering at 12% unemployment. Realistically, that number might be closer to 20%. Establishing the Watchmen Program by setting up these emergency economic centers throughout California and the rest of the nation will reduce the unemployment rate dramatically. Military personnel and troops coming home serving and protecting our nation from outside forces will be more than qualified to serve and protect our nation from within. They should be given high-ranking managerial positions within the emergency centers spread across the nation. Many government officials which represent border states around the country stress the need for the National Guard and other security personnel to watch over and protect our very vulnerable borders. Unfortunately, those same border states are seriously lacking the financial resources to pay for such projects. However, from the 30% the city, state, and federal government receives from the Watchmen Program project, an ample amount of new revenue generated will be available. Critical border states will have more than enough funds to protect our homeland. A very conservative estimate of 7 million jobs will be needed to perform the operation in and around these emergency economic information centers. A great many of the job openings can be paid at almost 3 times the current minimum wage rate. Overwhelmingly, the biggest benefit with the establishment of these economic centers is good economics. Jobs will be generated day one. Moderate and high salary positions must be filled to operate these facilities. New construction starts will be higher than our nation has seen in 60 years after World War II. An entire army of these industrial workers will be positively affected. Also overwhelmed will be the blue-collar industry, from farmers to carpenters, electricians, roofers, truckers, security personnel, maintenance, and ground crews. These will be highly sought after from one end of our nation to the other. The growing green technology industry will suddenly come out of the shadows into the mainstream of American life. The solar, wind, and biofuel corporations will flourish, hiring a plethora of staff personnel to operate their business. Suddenly, instead of slow workdays, keeping up with new order demands will be common again within the workplace. Many job recruitment fairs hiring new industry personnel will be conducted on the site of these economic development centers. The Sara Knights Security personnel recruitment team will help hire qualified private security agencies. These security firms will be essential to help and protect the centers. And let's not forget the millions of Boy Scouts across the country with their long-standing motto of "Be prepared," which will be a perfect fit, handing out vital information to those in need. L. Billions generated and new revenue globally. America's newfound technology building green, gridless facilities will be the nation's new gold rush. Billions of new revenue will be generated internationally. The United States can once again lead the nations in new technology to gain great success with these information centers. Introducing the world to these portable gridless facilities by providing a smaller scale version of the information centers should be placed on every embassy property occupied by the U.S. government worldwide. The new economic revenues that the U.S. Commerce Department receives from orders generated will be without precedent. Internationally, $1 trillion can also be achieved on an annual basis Throughout the United States, as the emergency information centers are set up, each one will be given a center number indicating when the facility came online. Each center in every city throughout America will share the same information. Every agency, local and federal, will be on the same page. As the Watchmen Program expands internationally, the same protocol of sharing information from center to center will be instituted. Intelligent reports, as well as medical and terrorist attack alert warnings, will be sent out. Simultaneously, each center, nationwide and internationally, will receive crucial updates. The trillions in new revenue will benefit all nations. This will help the entire global community out of its current disastrous economic crisis. And yes, as the leader of the free world, America should lead the way. As the global community is gasping for clean and green, the United States cannot afford to fail.